Good evening, this is Jim, AF3Z, Alpha, Foxtrot 3 Zulu, and welcome to the 985 Roundtable this evening. I am the host for tonight. We meet here every Thursday evening at 8 p.m. on the W3GMS Parksburg repeater, 146.985 megahertz. The PL tone for getting into the repeater is 100 hertz. 100 hertz. If you use tone squelch on receive, you want to set that for 94.8 hertz. 94.8. Be sure to take a look at the repeater website from time to time. It's located at www.W3GMSrepeater.com. W3GMSrepeater.com. There's a lot of good information on there about the nets we have, about the history and etiquette here on 985, activities, pictures, all kinds of good stuff, so you can check that out. Besides the roundtable, on Monday nights we have the 985 workbench. It's also at 8 p.m., and it focuses on answering technical questions and exploring topics related to setting up and operating your station. So, good stuff there. 8 p.m. on Monday evening is the workbench. If you're new here to 985, or at least to the workbench, or specifically tonight, the roundtable, you are welcome and encouraged to check in. If you can't stay real long, feel free to check in when I'm calling for short time check-ins at the beginning, because there you get a chance to make some comments and be on your way. So that's a good one if you don't have the time to stick around a while longer. Our discussions are informal here. We pass the mic around in the order in which stations call in. So I encourage you to jot down, you can do the whole list, that's what a lot of us do, but at least write down the station that checks in right after you do. So that way you will be able to know who to turn the mic over to when you have finished your comments. We usually begin with a question as a discussion starter, so you're welcome to speak to that, answer that if you wish. But also other comments and other subjects are certainly welcome as well. If you have any suggestions or questions about the roundtable, feel free to contact Phil, KC3CIB, Kilo Charlie 3, Charlie India Bravo, or myself, Jim, Alpha Foxtrot 3 Zulu, and both of us have good email addresses on QRZ.com. One thing to note is that at times here on the repeater we experience intermod interference. And we'll mention that when it happens. After a while you'll get used to what it sounds like. But ask that you run, when that happens, if you can run maximum power, or be prepared to check in digitally through Echolink or All-Star. We want to hear you. Now, one thing, to be able to use Echolink and All-Star on 985, you need to register. It's not getting approved, it's just getting yourself signed up here. So you can find out how to do that, where to send an email to get signed up for Echolink and All-Star on the website. So check there for directions on checking in digitally. Also, when the intermod is present, before you start to give a transmission and say very much, I encourage you to give a short call, maybe just saying, am I getting in okay? And as the host, I'll come back and let you know, yep, you're doing fine, or who was that? We couldn't understand the thing. So once the host confirms that you're in okay, into the repeater okay, then you're welcome to go ahead then and share longer comments. One thing, don't be too quick to talk, and what I mean is don't hesitate to say something on the repeater, but before you start speaking, pause a couple seconds before you actually hit the press to talk switch on your mic. This is good repeater etiquette to leave some space in between so other stations can get in, and especially here with digital stations, there are delays through the internet and everything, and so it's very helpful to them to have longer pauses between our transmissions. So if they want to get in, need to get in, there's a space for them to do so. So wait a second or a couple seconds before you even start to hit the press to talk switch. And once you do, also wait a second or so more before starting to speak, because once you hit the button, the mic needs a little time to process your PL tone and then turn the repeater on for you. So we don't want to miss the beginning of what you have to say. One final timely comment. The repeater has a 3-minute timer required by the FCC. And if you talk for more than 3 minutes without letting up on your press to talk switch, then the repeater will completely shut down. You won't be heard anymore, and nobody else will be able to bring up the repeater either until you let go of your mic button. So every 2 to 3 minutes, you just have to release the mic button very briefly. You don't even have to let the repeater carrier drop completely. But then key up again, and you're ready to go for another 3 minutes. So tonight's question is sort of different, but that's okay. Think about your operating style. This is a stylistic question. A couple sort of simple things would be fun to hear your answers. First of all, what kind of chair do you have in your shack? Recliner, straight back chair. What kind of chair do you sit on when you're operating radio? And another simple one. Do you often, when you're spending some time at the radio, do you have a drink with you? Do you have something to eat, some kind of snack or food? So what kind of drink or food might you have when you're getting in the shack and doing some radio? And finally, 3 things: the chair, food, and then do you tend to do more listening or actually getting involved in QSOs, making contacts? Do you listen and monitor a lot, having the radio on and just sort of hearing what's going on out there? More or less than when you actually get into transmitting and making contacts with people. So what's your style there? Are you a real listener and do a lot of listening? Do you monitor quite a bit without operating? What's your style? So there you go. The chair, the food, and your ears. Do you listen a lot without transmitting or sort of mix when you get on, make contacts? If you forget that, just mention it to me and I'll be glad to refresh your memory on the question. So we'll start with short time check-ins now. And this is stations. We'll start with stations using Echolink and All-Star first. And I'll leave plenty of time so you can make sure people have had a chance on the digital modes to get checked in. So, my call is Alpha Fox 3 Zulu, and digital stations now only for a short time. Please call now.
AF3Z, here is N4MRW.
AF3Z, W3GMS, short time.
KB3ZUV, short time, via Echolink, Kilo Bravo 3 Zulu Uniform.
All right, you guys did very well there. First I had Matt, N4MRW. Welcome, Matt. Haven't heard you for a while. And CR, W8CRW, and then Bob, KB3ZUV. Any other digital stations wanting to check in briefly and for a short time? Okay, now RF stations and any other digital stations out there wanting to check in for a short time, please call now.
This is W1RC in Marblehead, Massachusetts. Checking in. No traffic.
This may have doubled. Whiskey 3 Juliet Alpha Mike, short time.
thank you. Jeff, I got you, but the other station, I heard an alpha at the end. That's all I heard. Jeff won out over top there. So the other station that checked in, please call again.
It's W1RC.
Okay, W1RC, Mr. Mike, thank you. Was there another station when Jeff came back and said he might have doubled? He did, but his call came through. There was another call I heard with an alpha, I think, at the end. That's all I heard was alpha. So if there's somebody else trying to get in, please call again. And or any other stations out there for the short time list. All right, not hearing anything. All right, well, we'll go now, and here's the list I have. N4MRW, then W8CRW, then KB3ZUV, W3JAM, and W1RC from Marblehead, Massachusetts. All right, and again, the question is just some fun little facts about your operating style. What kind of chair do you tend to sit on in your shack when you're operating? Do you often have some kind of drink or food to munch or something? Why, hopefully you don't talk with a mouthful. Otherwise, drink or food you might have in the shack. And finally, your style as far as listening versus actually getting on and transmitting and having contacts. Do you tend to listen a lot when you're not making contacts, or just get on and contacts, or what's your style there? So, Matt, down to you in North Carolina. N4MRW, AF3Z.
AF3Z in the group here is N4MRW. Yeah, it's been a while. I've been quite busy with work, overtime, and usually on Thursday nights I have to be asleep by between 8 and 9 for work, so I wake up at 5 next morning. Answer to your questions, well, I've got 2 operating chairs. One is the car, and the other is the office chair. If I'm doing RF, then it's in the car. I'm at work. I usually have Echo Link on in the background. When I'm at the office, I usually just have coffee or something to drink nearby, just so I can keep my throat watered. Usually when I'm at work, I'm mostly on standby listening, so I can hear the work radio and phone and everything else going on. So it's been busy several weeks and months. I've had 5 certification classes, CPR, criminal background checks, intelligence training. So it's been a busy week. And you'll find out.
Morning, y'all. Anna here, and yeah, I've been pretty busy myself. So I've been packing for a trip with my group for a little while now, and hadn't really had the time or little the energy to really hop on you. That's a bit tend to be awkward.
All right, so that's all from down here in the Tar Heel State. Send it over to W8CRW in a group. Here's N4MRW.
Very good, Matt. Good to hear from you. And Jim, thanks for taking the chair tonight. And let's see. Easy question. For my formal operating, in my office I have a office-type chair, and it leans back, and you can get real comfortable. I might even fall asleep in it occasionally. For snacks, I like chips, or maybe some Doritos, or maybe some Cheetos, the spicy Cheetos. For drink, usually some lemonade. And I listen a whole lot more than I talk. I listen around to multiple places other than 985. Usually I don't talk on 985. With that, let's go to Adam, KB3ZUV, WHCRW, 73 for this night.
Okay, Sierra, good evening, WHCRW and AF3Z. Good evening, Jim. This is KB3ZUV. Adam, over Echolink in Downingtown at the gym, getting some cardio in. And I don't have a huge amount of time to talk, so I'll just answer the questions, Jim. Sitting in the shack, I have folding chairs. Maybe I want to get a nicer, like a bar stool or something. Food and drink? No. The last time I did that, I spilled it on the equipment, so no more food and drink in the shack. And on HF, I mostly listen, and on VHF, UHF, I mostly talk. Except tonight, I think I'm done talking. Got a lot going on. Sorry I couldn't make it last week. Like I said, a lot going on. I should be on the roundtable next week, and also stopping at 985 Field Day for a couple hours as well in a few weeks. That's all for tonight. Let's keep it moving. Up to the horse farm, W3JAM, KB3ZUV, 73.
Okay, fine business, Adam. KB3ZUV, W3JAM. It's good to be on and hear everyone here tonight. My commitment to making a joyful noise every Sunday has concluded for the church year, and no choir practice tonight. However, good news, bad news. However, I will be a lay reader on Sunday, so joyful noise of a different sort. Hi. But I was actually sick last Sunday, and I missed the last anthem, which was a real good one, too, and becoming, favorite, and was very sorry not to be a part of it. But anyway, interesting questions, Jim. Thanks for taking the chair. Speaking of chair, when I operate, there is no chair, and since I'm in Studio B right now, I've got a surface to sit on that basically covers my pressure tank from my well system that makes ingress here a few feet below my feet, where I'm sitting from the outside well, and goes into the pressure tank. So it and the wiring associated there too are literally underneath me, and I can sit, and it actually feels good to sit because I've been on my feet all day out in the South 40 with continuation of line post replacement. Boy, was it a hot day for that. Anyway, no chair, Jim. When I'm in Studio A, there is no chair. Never has been. And if there is one, it's an old wooden chair, and it's fairly rickety, and I get hollered at because I usually sit down in it too hard and break it. So it's better just not to have a chair. Food? No, generally not. I'm on for such short periods of time when I operate that it's really not a consideration, although the exception used to be when I would get on Sunday afternoon with my buddy down in Rockville at the time, now North Potomac, Maryland, and have our Sunday afternoon sked. I might have an iced tea or such in there, but again, care had to be taken because there was so little room to actually put it down that I believe on one occasion I may have actually spilled it, and that did not go over well with the chief engineer. So in general, no. On rare, occasions, maybe, but in general, no. And listen or transmit, lately it's been a lot of listening. I'm out here in Studio B constantly, and the rig is on. And a very decent band opening this morning, by the way, on 2 meters. Heard some stations. Had to get the quadrupeds in, so I could not operate, much to my chagrin, but listening constantly. And in Studio A as well, when I had the setup going in Studio A, I would listen quite a bit, and especially 6-meter season, and jump in when the band was open and try to make contacts on 6, hoping to do that out here in Studio B before the E season is it's upon us, but before it's over. Anyway, that's all I got tonight. Let's see, Miss Muffet just joined me. What's the Barn Cat, Miss Muffet and Miss Shiloh. Shiloh's out and about. Muffet's here, purring away. And lovely night in Studio B. I'm going to head in for the showers. I'll say 7-3 to all. And good to hear everyone. Mr. Mike, up it comes to you to Massachusetts. By the way, I did catch your first QSO on All-Star with Joe. Sounds great. Sounds absolutely great. Over to you, Mr. Mike. W1RC to take it. W3JAM.
Yeah, W3JAM and the W3GMS 985 repeater Thursday night roundtable. This W1RC in Marblehead, Massachusetts. Well, interesting question. My chair varies, but tonight I'm sitting in a century-old rocking chair that I really enjoy. I also have an office-style chair that I found at a thrift store for $10, and I brought it home, and it had like one of those pneumatic risers in it, and it wasn't working, and it turned out that the chair had a lifetime warranty and was worth about $1,000 new from an office supply company, and they came and brought me a brand new chair, so I got a brand new, very high-end office chair. And what do I like to snack on while I'm on the air? Well, I got to fix the timer in this radio. Well, I don't usually have food or drink around in the shack either. Can spill it, that would not be too cool. But right now I'm sipping on a Diet Coke, nothing real fancy, and I forget the rest of the question. Also, I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry, and I don't know who it goes to, so I'll turn it back over to Net Control, AF3Z, and the Net, W1RC.
Okay, Mr. Mike, very good. Yeah, the other part of the question was just, do you tend to listen a lot or, monitor, or only get on really when you're talking to somebody? If you want to answer that quickly, go right ahead.
Yeah, sometimes I have the radio on in the background. Usually I have 75 meters going, or here. I leave it on here, listen to the group, and but what can I say? I listen around locally, but I don't hear much here. There's not a lot of activity here in Boston. You think there would be? There's lots of repeaters here, but you can go for quite a long period of time on all of them and not hear anybody. Over.
Yeah, very good, Mike. Yeah, that's a common experience, I think. Kind of a shame, but that's the way life goes. So very good. Yeah, good to hear you tonight. Thanks for checking in. The 100-year-old rocker. That sounds very interesting. It must have had some attention, or it might break under me. All right. Anybody else, before we move on, anybody else who would like to check in on the short time list tonight for the 985 Roundtable? Please call now. This is AF3Z. All right, nothing else heard. So thank you all very much. And interesting answers. I appreciate that. Chairs and food and stuff. And Jeff not sitting down. I wouldn't last very long at that one. And sorry you missed your anthem there. And Adam with a folding chair. That's one I don't think I really expected. So anyway. And a number of drinks and some chips and stuff, but not a lot of big eating group when you're on the air. All right, thank you all very much. And we will turn now to check-ins from those who have a little more time to stick around. And while we're doing it, remember, click, pause a second, and then start to talk. So that way we'll hear the beginning of what you have, like the beginning of your call sign. So, digital stations using Echolink or All-Star, first of all. For regular check-ins, please call now.
Whiskey Alpha 3, Victor Echo Echo on Allstink.
All right, thank you, Ron. Welcome aboard. It sounded like somebody else keyed up the repeater in there. Anybody else on the digital modes who would like to check in now, please call. This is AF3Z.
W3DIB, W3 Delta India Bravo.
All right, thank you, Greg. Oh, you're sounding good there. Any other digital stations wanting to check into the roundtable? Please call now. All right, nothing else heard there. So we'll go on to RF stations and anybody else out there who's still waiting to check in. Did I say chicken or chicken? So anyway, stations RF or digital, anybody wishing to check into the 985 roundtable, please call now.
KB3 EMS. WA3 King Fox Tango, WA3 KFT.
Mike Foxtrot Bravo.
KC3 YSM, Stephen Downingtown.
This is W3GMS, W3 Good Music Station.
Kilo Charlie 3, Oscar Kilo.
All right, not hearing anything there. So, anything more, I should say. Let me go down the list here. KB3 EMS, I think that's right. Is that Chris? I hope I've got that right. Then WA3KFT, W3MFB, KC3YSM, W3GMS, and KC3OOK. Anybody else checking in for the 985 roundtable, please call now. This is AF3Z. Not hearing anything. Let me check back on, I think I heard KB3 EMF, but it could have been EMS. Would you give me your call again phonetically and give me your name? My brain's not working too well.
No problem. This is Chris, Kilo Delta 3, Echo Mike Sierra.
All right, I only had two letters mixed up. Kilo Delta 3 and EMS, but I had your name right, so look at that. Very good, Chris. Thank you very much. All right, one last call before we get going here. 985 roundtable check-ins. Please call now. This is AF3Z. Let me go over the question one more time, and then we will get started here. Sort of simple questions, but interesting answers. As far as you're operating in the shack or wherever, what kind of chair do you tend to sit in? So in your shack or wherever, what kind of chair do you use? Secondly, do you tend to have, when you have some time to get on the radio, you tend to have something to drink, something to munch on, something to eat there with you? And finally, your style of operating, do you do a lot of listening without transmitting? Or is the only time the radio's on is when you're actually going to be calling and trying to talk to people? Or whatever. Any combination thereof. So what's your listening versus actually transmitting style for radio? So the chair type, food, and your listening, transmitting style. So, again, here's the list. Going first with WA3VEE, W3DIB, KD3EMS, WA3KFT, W3MFB, KC3YSM, W3GMS, and KC3OOK. So, Ron, pick it away. Take it away, Ron, AF3Z.
AF3Z and the group, WA3V. Your chicken versus check-in. I like that. I think I'm going to use that one, Jim. Great to hear you. Doing the Nets this week on 985. All very, very good. Great question. Great question indeed. So let's see, what kind of chair? I have an old beat-up office chair, and I think it's a steel case. I think I bought it a long time ago. It used to be my main desk chair there. I share a shack with my office. So that used to be my desk office chair. Then I migrated it over, and then my XYL Deb, who some of you do know, she found a $20 special, another great chair at a yard sale. She's very good at that stuff, so she ended up buying that, and matter of fact, it's been years now. I don't think I ever. Don't tell her by any means. But anyway, that became my main desk chair, and then my former one became the shack chair. So it's very comfortable actually. And let's see, food. Usually don't have food unless it's in the morning. Maybe breakfast down there. Bring breakfast down. I have a pretty good size operating table or console. It's one I built back in 1978. You guys know I'm a woodworker, so that was pretty interesting. Mahogany and pine with a mica inlay. So there's plenty of operating space for a keyboard, a plate of bacon and eggs, mouse, pad of paper, and stuff like that. Stand by. And so usually don't have snacks around, but I will have a bottle of water, but the cap stays on it at the console for sure. Like Mr. Mike said, afraid of spilling stuff, so yep, the cap always stays on. Taking a sip, taking a cap off, taking a sip, putting a cap back on, so that nothing gets wet. Let's see, operating style, yes. Usually listen a lot more, and I listen to a lot of different repeaters and a lot of different channels and things, including scanner stuff. So there's a lot going on in the VEE shack. But of course, main radio is 985. That's the 9700. But I will have I'm still working on it, but I have the capability of listening to a lot of different repeaters, east, south, and west. So that's still a project in the making, more of a bucket list item than anything else. And style, I like to be very folksy, very very friendly, but very efficient on the air, especially running nets. And that's I think the way nets should be done. So other than that, I think that's it. Greg, great to hear you tonight. It's been a while, and we'll turn it over to you and see what you have to say. W3DIB in the group. And Jim, I might be switching back to RF. Don't know what, but anyway, I'm on All-Star now, out running around. W3DIB, to take it, WA3VEE.
WA3VE, W3DIB. Thanks, Jim. Jim. Thanks, Ron. Boy, my brain is crosswired tonight. And I got to say, Ron, amazing signal on All-Star. And I always say that because if you're driving around, sometimes cellular connectivity is not the greatest in the way things drop out, stutters and things. Every once in a while, it seemed like your carrier would drop, but that might be on, I don't know where that was happening, but otherwise, your audio was perfect. There was no stutters or dropouts. So I would attribute that, I'm guessing that's to the nice LTE antennas you have sticking out of your roof on the car there. That makes a huge difference. You're encouraging me to maybe try things with my car. Let's see, Jim, your question. So what do I usually sit on? So if I'm in my shack, which is literally down in the basement, to go with the DIB, down Delta into Bravo, I'm sitting in an old IKEA kitchen chair that's all wood. And if I ever can get myself up into my office area and get things kind of configured, or at least get remote capability of this radio from up there or something, got to get myself up there. I do have a nice Herman Miller Aeron, and that by far, hands down, is my favorite chair, my chair of choice. Sitting in it, writing software many years and things, that chair, it's dangerous. It's dangerous because sitting for really, really long periods of time is not great for you, but that chair, you can sit for really long periods of time, and you don't get fatigued and you don't get pain points. It's conducive to sitting right. Some people don't like it. It's a very polarizing chair. From what I've seen, people either love it or they hate it. There's no in-between. It's kind of the one that has the mesh back. They're not cheap, but it's kind of like one of those things where, well, if you're going to be sitting to this all day, it's kind of like maybe you might want to invest a little bit into it to kind of protect your back and your body and everything. So that's my chairs. As far as snacks in the shack, not usually. The most I might do is a beverage can. Sometimes it'll be seltzer water. Unfortunately, that does not have a cap, so I do try to keep it as far from the rig as possible. I usually put it over on the floor on top of a little Pelican case I have here. Either that, or I don't know if anybody's ever had Poppy, P-O-P-I or P-O-P-P-I. It is I guess it's a prebiotic soda. It's not super sugary. It doesn't have a ton of calories. I sound like a commercial here. Sponsored in part by, it's just good. It's got all kinds of natural ingredients and fruit juices. There's no artificial stuff in it. If it's soda, it's pretty good. But yeah, that's I guess that's pretty much what I do for a chair and a drink. So I don't think I have anything else. Yeah, it's good to get back on. I look forward to seeing everybody that's going to be there at Field Day and rigging up the network. And I may have a trick up my sleeve for Field Day, but I'll leave that maybe for the Field Day meeting, and we'll reveal it maybe to everybody else stay out. But I have something something I think will be cool. So let me pass it on. I believe it goes to Chris next. So KD3EMS, this is W3DIB on the Thursday Night Roundtable.
DIB, this is KD3EMS. Yes, thank you for having me in. Interesting question. So, chair. So, I don't know if you've ever seen it before, but usually Office Max and Staples has chairs on display. You can sit in them. There's usually probably good 20 of them or so, 20 or 30 of them. So, that's where I went for our chair, and I actually ended up with a gaming chair. They are very designed for sitting in for a long time. Really cool colors, usually bright red and black or green and yellow or whatever else. But so that's what I chose, was actually a gaming chair. Really good lumbar support. The back has really good support. I got one of those, you'll see them at truck stops. It's called a purple seat cushion. It's the same purple as the mattress. And I have that on top of the seat of the chair. So it adds like another 3 inches of cushion on it. So, gaming chair with a purple topper on it. As far as food, so I have 5 kids ranging from 5 years old, 16 years old, so I have no food. So that puts X on that one. And as far as listening and talking, so a very wise person once told me that you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. So I definitely try to listen, especially being new. I've only had my ticket for a month and a half now. So I definitely try to listen, hear what's going on, hear the format. There's a lot of formatting in ham radio, which I didn't really expect too much. So, but I didn't realize, even now with the Roundtable, there's a lot of formatting. So I've definitely been listening, laying low. I've talked to a couple people. You probably heard my call sign more the past couple days, just because I'm a little more comfortable, and able to talk and so on like that. So, but yeah, that's what I have for that. I was chasing a 5-year-old, so I did not write down who was next.
Okay, very good, Chris. Thank you. And sounds good. 5 kids. That'll keep you hopping. W3KFT, over to you, AF3Z.
3Z and the gang, W3KFT. Hey, I'm one of 5 kids. I was the oldest of 5. Anyway, I have a hand-me-down chair. The seat cushion is very well worn out. So I have a foam pad that my son used in the wheelchair, and it's about 2 inches thick, and it has a nice cloth covering, and that's on the chair. Makes for a soft seat when you first sit down, and you don't get tired of sitting either. So it's a comfortable chair. It's a swivel chair. It's an armchair, and conducive to sitting in front of the radio and playing radio, even in a contest or whatever, that type of thing. No food. Now, I have candy here. I got a jar that has Skittles in it, or M&Ms. That's safe around radios. No liquid. No cups, no no liquid. The only liquid maybe is some glue that I'm working with, but otherwise no coffee, tea, or milk, or soda, or anything like that. It's a whole lot safer. And in fact, all of my radios are elevated from the table surface. So if I spilled something, it wouldn't get in the radios, but it'd still make a mess. Let's see. Do I listen or operate? I listen a lot. And there are occasions that I operate a lot. For instance, the January VHF contest is one that I operate a lot. Having been licensed and active for 58 years in ham radio, and started my career as both a novice and a technician, I have been on VHF since day one. So I don't think I missed any of the January contests in the 58 years I've been active. I do run nets, and I participate in checking into nets. That is probably 90% of my operating time. I'm either a net control or... But I have the capability of all the bands from 80 meters through 432 megahertz. So I can pick and choose and play with different toys. So, over to W3MFB, WA3KFT.
W3KFT, WF3MFB. Jim, thanks for sailing the ship. I appreciate it. Good questions, man. Good questions. All right. Chair. Yeah, well, I got a... You know when you're in somebody's office and they got one of those straight back chairs that are the vinylish kind of fake leather garbage? Well, I got it for free, so I have that in here. It's a straight back chair, no leaning back, no lounging. I probably should get something that I could lean back, but I probably would fall out of it. But I got a little cushion on it as well to keep me comfy, and I do have a couch pillow in here if I want to lean. If I'm sitting here watching a movie or listening to the radio or whatever and I want to lean, it does have arms, so I can prop the pillow in there and make it a little more comfy. So that's that. I used to have a wooden chair in here, but see, the desk is different than a lot of desks. It's a writing desk from the 60s. It was my mother-in-law's. I took the hutch part off with all the cubbies off years ago. And so I just have the desk. So it's really not that wide. I don't have a tape and arm's length to measure it. But it does have two little wings that you can put down or up, but they're up. And it's just really the radio and the 991 and then the Versatuner 2 sitting next to it, hooked up to that, the Anytone and the President George FCC, and my soldering station, which I was just using, not for electronics, sorry, but, you know, helping the bride out with her jewelry making. I got these little, not stainless steel, because stainless steel is really hard to solder. It's a pain in the butt. You can't really, without some time and heat. But these little ringlets to keep everything together. She doesn't want things falling apart, so she has me soldering the ringlets shut, so for more quality. So that's that. That's pretty much what's on the desk, and some odds and ends. Food, yeah. Hobbit. I love Lord of the Rings. I love the Hobbits. I'm always eating. Not really when I'm talking too much on the radio, but if I'm sitting here listening, yeah, I have, I have half a box of Quaker oatmeal squares, brown sugar kind. Those are great. I got half a box of original Triscuits here. Occasionally there'll be a potato chip bag in here, just the mini version. So yeah, I eat up here, and it doesn't matter if I'm not talking on the radio and I'm just listening to a net or HF, depending on the time of the day. You know, I'll bring some leftovers up here, you know, but I always bring the bowls and plates down, the spoons and all that stuff. So totally opposite of what everybody else was saying. Beverages, yeah. Water, yeah, that's a must, especially if you're rag chewing. I just went down to Highland Orchards yesterday and got some apple cider from Highland. So, you know, water, juices. Right now I got a half a pint of the black stuff here. And, yeah, so usually water, juice, or beer, or coffee. I don't usually spill anything, but I'm sitting here knocking on the desk for that one. I listen a lot. Yeah, like Ron said, you know, you got the scanners going and stuff. I listen to 40 meters a lot, and then sometimes jump in, especially if there's a POTA, or if it's that Old Miss net, or e-cars, definitely check into that. But in the evening, yeah, 40's fun to listen to. And 75 meters, I usually just listen to the, especially this time at night, I listen to the Friendly Bunch net, or check in sometimes if I have a comment that, you know, I want to bring up or ask a question about what one of the boys or girls were saying. And they're a good group, you know, they're pretty normal, you know, not crazy. They do a kids' night on Saturday. And it's on 3919, by the way, from like 7:30 to 11 or something. In the wintertime, they do. They help out with the Santa Claus net that they have running around. so kids can get on the air and talk to Santa. So that's always fun. Good group of guys. But yeah, mostly listening and Rag 2 occasionally and POTUS and, participate in that, hunting, and then getting on the machines like 985 and then the EOC or AF3Z, and that's about it, really. Work I'll listen to a lot, either here on Broadcastify, use the Kiwi SDR, websites to listen to HF all over the place, and then or medium wave or long wave. Like you get long wave over in Europe a lot. They use that over there, not us really. I'll listen to soccer matches or whatever that's going on over there. So yeah, at work I listen a lot more than at the home QTH. So I'm going to pass it over to KC3YSM, W3MFB.
W3MFB. Mike, thank you very much. This is KC3YSM. Well, summer has hit, and it seems like I've been doing a lot, but not with the radio. My wife is a shore girl. We've been taking some trips to the shore. I've been nursing unfortunately, a little back issue, a little lumbar issue. I've got a herniated disc in my lower back, and had an MRI not long ago, and just had a epidural on Thursday, which is giving me some relief, but it's a pain in the backside. So, Jim, great question tonight, and it's good to hear everybody tonight on the air. Haven't been on in a while, but chair. I have got a horrible chair down here in the shack, and it's just a folding plastic chair, and I've got a cushion on it. However, sitting is what hurts the worst for my back, and so it's just tough to sit. So right now I'm actually kneeling in front of the radio and on the table with my elbows on the table, and that's what I'm doing. It's just really hard to sit in. Upstairs in my office I've got a better chair, but if I'm on the radio down here, it's unfortunately this setup. I just need to go out and get something a whole lot better. Okay, as far as snacks, CR, you got the list. You got the snack list. Very, very good. I did have a handful of almonds and a handful of goldfish that are already eaten. And I usually will have a snack if I'm down here in the evening, but daytime, not so much. I'm usually not having anything at all. And I've got a Yeti right now filled with ice water off to the far right side. Certainly don't want to spill it, and yes, it could spill, so I'm very careful with that. As far as listening and or making contacts, I love to listen. When I first got started, Ron was very kind and helped me program both the 991 and the HT with a lot of repeaters. So I've got a lot of things programmed in both radio, well, actually all three radios in the truck, and the HT as well as the 991. And I love to listen, and been listening to what's going on with the field day. And Joe, it sounds like you could, I'm expecting a record, Joe, okay? I'm not going to be happy if it's not a record with contacts this year, and I'm very sad I'm going to miss it. Unfortunately, as you know, I've got a prior commitment, and I just cannot make it. But I'm going to be thinking about you guys. It's going to be a home run, I think, or maybe a grand slam. So anyhow, I do like to listen also on the DX Heat and jump in and make contacts that way. I like to see who's out there and jump in, but probably more listening on that side. But anyhow, that's it from KC3YSM. Joe, I'm going to turn it over to you, W3GMS.
Oh, very good, Steve. KB3YSM, or KC3YSM. See, I even forgot your call. It's been so long. This is W3GMS in the 146.985 Thursday night Roundtable. I want to say, Jim, thank you very much for hosting it. I think you had 2 hosting duties this week. I believe you were on the workbench on Monday night. As always, appreciate all the host time and dedication to making this all that it can be. And I'll get to the questions here in a second, but Steve, I'm awfully sorry to hear about your back. I've had intermittent back issues ever since I got out of the military, and not sure what happened to it, but it's really strange. I'll be fine, and then all of a sudden it'll just go bizarre. And the worst case when it went bizarre was a good 3 months, maybe a little bit longer, and that was many years ago. Now it's typically like a month, and it's not when I'm necessarily lifting something heavy. It's just it's impingement back there, I think you call it. So we kind of put up with it and try to protect it as well as we can, but you never know. That's the odd part. You never know when it's going to go wacky. It just goes wacky, and that's it. So sympathize with you on that. Okay, off to the questions. As most of you know, I'm quite a coffee drinker, so the typical beverage here in Studio B is a cup of black coffee. I don't put any sugar or cream in it. Just drink it straight. And if I'm not drinking coffee, I like the Wegmans fizzy water, as I call it. It's like a carbonated water. You can buy it in the cans, and I really like that. Luke's gotten hooked on it here, too. He likes fizzy water. And all the kids I've mentored, they've all grown accustomed to fizzy water. So they're there. And, yeah, I must admit, every now and then, it's kind of rare, but I'll have a little bit of an accident, but it's not too bad. So that's the deal. Chair is one I bought from Unisys as we were shutting down different geographies. And things like that, and it was great because you could get some really, really good office furniture very cheap. So I have a typical luxury office chair, I would say. It has oak rest on the side for your arms. It's all fabric. It's not leather or anything, so it's very, very comfortable. It doesn't get hot or anything. It has a nice beige fabric, and it's really, really comfortable. My complaint is it's a little big, and I don't know whether you folks know, but I'm redoing Studio B. Studio B is going to be the GMS modern ham shack. Don't worry, there'll be no digital on it, but it's going to be the modern ham shack. So it'll have my new TS590 Sugar George. It'll have the Mercury Lux 1500 watt solid state amplifier. It'll have a microphone. It'll have a keyer and my Bengali straight key, and that's pretty much it. So it'll be a legal limit, primarily sideband, hopefully mostly CW station, and then all this other stuff gets down in the museum, and that's another project. So that's that. I might get a new chair. Martha got a nice leather type office chair without the armrest on it. And I don't really use the armrest on this chair, so I think I may splurge. And she got it for her craft room, and it's very, very comfortable. Operating style. My favorite operating style, going back to when I was a micro-miniature kid, and you very seldom hear this operating style anymore, is you tune up and down the band, and you find a clear spot, you fire up the transmitter, and you call CQ. I call it going fishing. Be it on CW, being it on phone, I just always enjoy that type of operation because it's amazing the different people that you run into. So some aren't rag chewers and, hello, goodbye, 5'9", and some of them are, a lot of hams, sadly, today are very non-technical, and they just don't have anything to say beyond the weather and their medical issues. So those QSOs are rather short, but every now and then you get into a really good conversation, and that's what I enjoy the most. However, I have been operating that style probably about 25 years because I have no time. Today, my time these days on amateur radio is filled up with the 2-meter repeater stuff that I have here. I host the Antique Wireless Association PM/AM net, and that's on every weekend, Sunday, at 6 p.m., the pre-net show, which Chuck does for me from 6 to 6:30, and then I take over the rest of the net, the actual part of the net from 6:30 to whenever it closes. And that can run an hour and a half or something like that. Saturday mornings I host a a net that well, it's not a net. I call it gathering because I don't like the term net all that much. So I called it gathering. My good friend Jim that I met when I was 21 years old, W3AOA, that's W3 Alpha, Ocean Alpha. Great friend, and he made it well up into his 90s, and he started that gathering many years ago, and I used to check into that like 50 years ago, and it was just fantastic. So when he was sick and in the hospital and his runway was getting shorter and shorter, I promised him that I would continue it, and it was called a net back then, but I changed it. So it's now called the W3AOA Memorial Gathering, and it's open to everybody. And mostly it's 4 or 5 people, the same 4 or 5, but we always love when folks check in. Frequency of that is 3718, 3.718, and it's on lower sideband, of course, because that's what 75 meters phone is, lower sideband. And it's at, I think I said 8:45 is when it starts. And due to that, I will not be at the field day site until 10 a.m. This Saturday, and we're going to have lessons in putting coax connectors on, and we're going to have a lot of fun. I inherited tons of coax, used coax, and we got to check it out and see what's good and see what's bad. And Chuck has been doing a stellar job at A3CW getting started with that activity. While I have it here, and before people start falling asleep due to long-winded transmissions, but I have a lot of information to pass, and I'll stop on this and I'll save the rest of the information for round 2. But don't forget the field day Zoom meeting tomorrow night at 7 p.m. It's going to be a short meeting because we're coming up on field day and things are pretty well covered, but it's going to be from 7 to 7:30. So no buzzer transmissions. We'll stay focused to the agenda, knock it out in 30 minutes, and move on. And then, of course, Saturday, most of the crew that are able to go will be up at the field day site at 0900 hours on Saturday morning for the coax and connector tutorial and all that kind of stuff. And that's enough for this one. So, let's see. It goes to none other than Bill. I'll talk about the tower progress here, too, but I'm going to wait till round 2 for that. KC3OOK, W3GMS.
W3GMS, good music station, KC3OOK. Well, thank you, Joe and Jim. Thanks for taking the chair tonight. No pun intended. And welcome to everybody here around the table with their various chairs. Well, Jim, I actually like your question of the chair, and I really lit up when I heard Greg's comment about Herman Miller. Yeah, I kind of am an aficionado of chairs, and actually I need to oil it. It's probably squeaking. At my operating station, I use a General Fireproof Manufacturing Company chair, and it was a Bell Telephone operator's chair. It's a cast aluminum chair, and I've actually looked them up and been following them, trying to find another. This was my dad's. It's probably post-war, any time right after the war through the 50s probably. And they are actually, vintage chairs are really collectible, and especially the Herman Miller. But looking online, I've never seen another one like this. I've seen some drafting table chairs that look like this, but with longer legs. And their office chairs from the 50s are going anywhere from $500 to $1,400 if they're in good shape. So I've been sitting in this for 28 years now, and that will move into the ham shack. But I really love to have another one for out here. And Greg, I just love Herman Miller. I've done a lot of jobs where it was furnished with Herman Miller stuff. The new stuff is just incredible. And I'm really partial to the old 60s and 70s stuff. That's another thing I'd love to get someday. That for the house, rather. And as far as food, Jim, I'm pretty much a tea guy. The winter, there's hot tea. In the summer, it's iced tea, which I have a thing of now, and I keep it well away from the radio gear. And as far as food, well, on occasion, there may be a few chocolate chip cookies within the vicinity of the workbench. But actually, this week I've been good. So far, I haven't had any, but that's probably going to end shortly. So, listening or talking, it varies by time of day. My focus, the radio's on about 14 hours a day, always with 985 on one side, and a lot of times with 520, or it's just on scanner on the other. And it kind of depends. If I'm working and I'm focused, I just listen and just don't stop and talk. I tend to make mistakes if I do. I just have to stay focused. A lot of times when I talk, it's at lunchtime, or when I'm just too tired, I sit down for a little bit and then I'll pick it up. Or if I hear someone there, if I can make it to the mic and no one else has picked it up, I will do that as well. And that's about it for me for this round. So I'll turn it back to you, Jim. So far, I think I'm the sweep. AF3Z, KC300K.
Okay, thank you, Bill. AF3Z here. And thanks, everybody. Let's see if we have anybody else who has been listening, speaking of listening, and wants to join in. Any other check-ins for the 985 Roundtable tonight? Please call now. This is AF3Z.
KC3, ZLI, Sean in Westchester. Kilo Charlie 3, Zulu Lima, India.
All right, very good, Sean. Good to hear you. And I'll turn back to you in just a second here. You may have heard the question generally, but it's just 3 basic parts of your ham radio life. What chair do you use to sit on when you're operating the radio? Do you tend to have something to drink or something to munch on, food by your side in the shack? And finally, your style as far as listening versus actually getting on and transmitting and making contacts. Do you do a lot of listening? Hardly any, unless you're actually making contacts. What's your style with that? So, your chair type, food, and your style of listening and actually making contacts. KC3ZLI, over to you. This is AF3Z.
AF3Z, thank you. Yeah, sorry, I was trying to check in earlier, but I was on a save channel. I don't think it had the PL tone, so I was trying to get on the first round, but I don't think it came in. So my shack is in my basement, and it's on my workstation, and I have a standing desk, so I just have a stool down here that I tend to sit and stand on, or I stand up and then I'll sit down every now and then. I feel like I'm more productive when I'm standing, and I'm a standing desk, but I have just a stool down here. If I sit down in my work chair that I have, I feel like I just get too complacent and comfortable. So yeah, I'm usually standing or sitting or kind of standing on the stool, but I don't really have food down here usually because it's in my basement. I don't want to leave something down here by accident and attract mice. And usually I'll have a beer or two. I've been known to have a beer or two down here, but other than that, it's just water and seltzer water. Yeah, I don't know. Or if it's in the morning and I have sometime in the morning, I'll have a cup of coffee. A lot of times I'm down here. Sometimes early. I have exercise equipment down here, and I have little kids, so the only time I can work out is at like 5:30 a.m. So I've heard some stuff here on 40 meters at like 5 a.m. 1 second, I don't want to time out. So yeah, I'll either have a cup of coffee or some water, or a beer or two, and then I'm definitely more of a listener. I think that's kind of what got me into radio, is just kind of being able to hear people. But I haven't made a ton of contacts on HF yet, but I've been trying a little bit, and I only have 20 watts going out. But I'm still trying. I don't have the best antenna either, though, so I'll figure that out eventually. But yeah, I do love listening, though. That's part of the thing that I love about it. So I was listening to the repeater for a long time before I even got my license. So yeah, I would say I'm more of a listener. I'll pass it back to you, Net Control.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Very good. All right. Thanks everybody for the comments. It's interesting. I got too many comments to get too systematic here, but listening is pretty strong here in the group, and food not as strong, I guess you might say. Let me give my comments here too before I forget. I bought a chair when I moved upstairs here from down in the basement, and I found it, I think, on Facebook Marketplace or somewhere like that. And it's an old office chair. It doesn't have arms on it, but it's a heavy, metal base to it and a cushion on the seat. And I have added, they were around the house here, but I have one or two, depending on the day, they're fairly thin cushions, but they're fabric-y cushions made to put in like a hardwood chair or whatever. And so I have two of them on here at the moment. They just make it a little more comfortable. And it swivels around, which is good because my tuner is back to my right side antenna tuner, so I can easily just pull back and spin around and work on that and come back around. And I have one of those plastic mats here on the carpet and stuff, so the chair can roll around and doesn't dig up the carpet and everything. So that's my chair. It sort of looks to me like 60s vintage or something like that. I do often have food here. I'll have coffee many times, iced or hot. Water sometimes, occasionally a glass of wine in like a water glass. I'm not fancy with a wine glass. And so I'll have that kind of stuff. My buddy up here and I, when we get on for CW, we've started doing it now about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It used to be more like 7:30, 8 in the morning. But during the morning when we both often have our oatmeal and maybe a coffee, and when he was sending, I'd be eating and vice versa. So yeah, I often do have something back here, at least to sip on, and occasionally I'll eat a meal here. Simple meals, nothing fancy, but I do eat here. And like somebody else said, my equipment is up off the desk. I don't think I've ever spilled anything. It'd make a mess, but it wouldn't really hurt much. But one of the reasons I have my equipment up high is because then I can get my arm. When I'm sending CW, I have a straight key, a bug, and paddles, straight key, bug, and paddles. And so they slide back under there, and I could have my whole forearm on the desk. If I had the radio there, it'd be all crowded, so that works out very nicely, especially for spillage. So that's me on food. And I'm one that I often find that if I leave like the repeater on or the HF rig on, I get too distracted if I'm trying to do something else. So I'm not a big listener. Even if I hear it in the background, it kind of distracts me. So generally, if I have the radio on, I'm trying to make contacts is the way I operate. So very good. I won't try to rehearse all your comments. Excellent, a lot of fun. Sorry to hear about the back problem, Steve. And I had a special note there about your kneeling at the moment. I messed up a disc in my lower back once upon a time, and so that one rings true with me too. So hopefully that gets better. I never heard of Herman Miller and chairs and stuff, so I'm obviously out of it on that. And similarly, Greg, I never heard of Poppy before. Have to check that one out. But I did notice you had a metal chair with 2 extra cushions on it, so we're similar there. So there you go. And John, you're the oldest of 5. So that meant you had to keep the rest of them in line. So I guess that's why you're a net control station now. in candy, Skittles or M&Ms, and the sound effects was helpful, so we could get an idea what kind of candy you had there. We knew it wasn't peanut clusters or something. So anyway, and the Quaker oatmeal squares, Mike, and Triscuits and stuff, very interesting. I usually don't keep too much of that kind of stuff around because I tend to eat it. But I'll have some, and my big cookie here, you guys are going to know I'm strange, but it's animal crackers. They're a nice little strange bite. There's a phrase out of my wife's family, actually her great aunt used to talk about that. It pops out of my mouth, and I've been trying to get other people to adopt it, but it hasn't worked. But when you have something really hits the spot, as we say, she would say it was a good strange bite. So I will have animal crackers here at times and pretzels and stuff, or my oatmeal or a sandwich or something. So anyway, there you go. And the luxury office chair there, Joe, that sounds it. I think I've seen it, but mine is not a luxury office chair. So there you go. And Bill, I didn't know you were so into chairs. That's kind of curious too, or interesting. Not curious, interesting. A chair aficionado. And Sean standing up at the desk. For a while I had sort of a stand-up desk. It wasn't a real one, but I rigged something up. But I haven't done that in a long time. But it's not a bad thing. So there we go. That's my comments / my own comments. So anybody else out there wishing to check into the 985 Roundtable before we head around to round 2, please call now. This is Jim, AF3Z. All right, we will head along now to round 2. And here's another part of the question I dropped off because it seemed to be too involved, and some of us you already know the answers. But and it sort of fit in with the listening mode, but you tend to do something else during nets or things like this. Like I play my guitar a lot of times, unless I'm hosting. So is there something else you tend to do while the radio's on, if you want to talk about that? W3VE, this is AF3Z.
Very good, Jim. AF3Z and the Roundtable. Great questions. Great questions indeed. This is WA3VEE on All-Star. All very, very good. Yeah, great questions. Yeah, sometimes I do other things. Tonight I was doing some antenna work, and also I do need to get some things done, my field day list. Probably do that tomorrow. I was going to go down to my brother-in-law's tomorrow, but that's going to be postponed until Sunday, which is good. So that gives me tomorrow to get those things done, and should be able to knock all that stuff out. And let's see, yeah, sometimes I'm working on the bench and have All-Star on or have the radio on there. I do have a connection to the outside there for both HF and for the 2 meter and 70 centimeter. And just, yeah, generally speaking, I will be doing things during the roundtable. However, for the workbench, I probably will be sitting right at the console. And let's see, some very interesting comments also along the way there on these chairs. Yeah, it's quite interesting. The chair I use for the shack, you can also sit in that for very long periods of time. It's getting to be pretty raggedy, so I'll probably have to do something there as well. But not much else to comment on here. Great questions. Again, Jim, and I'm going to say 7-3, but I'll be listening out here. Let's see, it's Greg, W3DIB to take it, and the group WA3VEE. 7-3, everybody.
WA3VEE, W3DIB. 73, Ron. It's good to hear you. Good to get on again and be a part of the group. And Jim, I realized I didn't answer the other part of your question. So yeah, when it comes to monitoring when I do get myself back active again. I struggle with trying to keep a lot of these extracurriculars in the air. I've been really focusing on the fitness stuff and trying to do a lot of running, training for Philadelphia again this year, the marathon, and hoping by the end of the year, or by the end of the summer, to maybe do my first triathlon. I got to swim in the Newark Reservoir down in Newark, Delaware there this past Monday night. That was interesting. Very dark, murky water, and there's little fish that will bite you when you're standing still, so it encourages you to keep moving. But, yes, I do tend to listen. I've tuned in at work to the SDR stations that are available on the web. I'm trying to remember, there's a station in, like, central PA that a lot of you guys, I think, used to listen to HF signals or to hear yourself back further away. And it eludes me right now, but yes, definitely a listener. I gotta fire up All-Star more often and just tune into the 985 because I could totally tune in during my work day and have it in my headphones. And I've always got a good condenser mic and a nice signal chain going on my desk all the time. On my Linux machine, it heats up like maybe not even 1 or 2% of my CPU. It's pretty amazing how little resources it takes. But yes, the other question you asked about, do I do other things when I'm on the net? It depends. If I'm hosting, I'm furiously typing away, trying to capture notes on everything everybody says so I can make comments. I'm much faster typist than I am at handwriting. My handwriting I don't know what it is, it cramps up sometimes. It's probably lack of writing since the college days when I had to write furiously to keep up with some of those engineering professors. But yeah, it's usually something on the keyboard. Usually if I'm at home, which I'm usually at when I'm operating, it's on a Linux laptop and I'm either fooling around with software packages or virtual machines or playing with containers. My newest venture is something called Talk Connect, which uses something called Mumble. And Mumble is something that gamers use for real-time audio communication across WAN, across the internet. And it's low latency, uses the Opus codec, so the fidelity is really well. Latency is usually down to whatever your ping time is, so there's no central server. You kind of go peer-to-peer. Or if somebody wants to run a server, I guess you could have to go through a hop. But, we're talking like on the order of 100 milliseconds or 70-some milliseconds or less most of the time. So those latencies tend to beat out All-Star. I don't know what it is about All-Star, but it somehow introduces a ton of latency. I don't know if that happens at the Pi, at the local zone, or if it's the internet. Let me see here. I'm going on. I apologize. Bill, definitely I have an affection for the Herman Miller line. I had an Aeron when I first started working, and that chair, no matter how you sit in it or where you put your feet, it's almost like it's indestructible. I had to look up the telephone operator chairs. Those look awesome. They do look like an old drafting chair, but they don't sit up as high. They have that little ring that you can kind of rest your feet on, and they look like they would be really comfortable. They've got like a little bit of back support. So yeah, it sounds like we have similar taste in chairs. As funny as that is. Let's see. I should pass it on because I'm starting to ramble. So I will turn it over to KD3EMS. Over to Chris. This is W3DIB saying 7-3 to everybody. It's great to be back on the 985 Roundtable. So over to KD3EMS, W3DIB.
W3DIB, KD3EMS here. So, as far as, obviously, I've just started some nets, and this is my first roundtable. So what I'm finding myself doing is what I do every night. I own my own business, so the paperwork really never stops. The emails don't really stop either. But this is my getaway. This radio is my getaway. So I do try to kind of get away, and not do a whole lot of work while I'm, doing other things. But we do a lot of time-sensitive stuff with work. So with my job, we're instructors for medical. So like stop the bleed, CPR, first aid. We train EMTs, stuff like that. So they want their paperwork pretty quick. They take a class with us, and they're kind of anxious for their card, their certification card and stuff. So I find myself doing a lot of that kind of stuff, when I'm while I'm trying to listen and everything else like that. So, but like I said, I do try to, put work to the side. So this is definitely a nice little outlet. Even on my Facebook, I had put a whole article in there about how hopefully ham radio is my hobby that I can just kind of get away from things and just meet really cool people. On a side note, has nothing to do with this, but Joe, I need to talk to you eventually. You and I have connections that are actually really cool, more than one. I think you'll be surprised if we talk sometime. So keep that in the back of your head, and that is about it. This is KD3GMS, and I will be 73 after this round.
Hey, Chris. KD3EMS, WA3 King Fox Tango. All righty. Very good. We operate on HF. Hey, if you have 40 meters and the right license, Sunday at 12 noon, I operate the Antique Wireless Association 40-meter single sideband net on 7237, or as close to it as I can get. There are times that the 40-meter band gets kind of crowded, and I have to move up or down a little bit from that frequency. But, hey, we give it a whirl, and lately it's been very quiet. So, I don't know where all the operators have gone. And 40 meters at noon on Sunday, for some reason, at the moment anyway, does not have a whole lot of activity. But I know wintertime comes and boy, it piles up in a hurry. I will be participating in Field Day with the Marple Newtown Club, and we're going to be, let's see, is it Springfield? Yes, Springfield Methodist Church on Springfield Road. It's about a block off of Route 3, and we were there for a club meeting the other night, and looking at the trees at the back of the parking lot and so forth, and they commented that we can operate from inside the church, well, the educational unit, and I'm thinking, you got to be kidding. From the trees to the educational unit, you're going across the parking lot with like 200 feet of coax. So, that isn't going to fly very well. Now, if you have a tripod with a vertical on it, you can set it outside the building. That would work. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. The leadership this year for Field Day is different than what it has been in the past. So it's going to be a different Field Day. I have participated in Field Day for more than 50 years. So that was one of the activities that I got into shortly after I got my license. I was licensed in March, and by the time June rolled around, I was interested in Field Day, and at that time I only had a novice and tech license, so I was on the air on 6 meters on Field Day. So don't poo-poo the idea, put a lot of CQs out there and bang around on 6 meters, and you will find activity there. So with that, we'll say 7-3 for now. Over to Mike. W3 MFB, WA3 KFT.
3 KFT, W3 MFB. Sorry. Had me crunching on those oatmeal squares again, Jim. Sorry. That's what you don't, that's bad etiquette, is eating while you're talking. So we're going to hold the mouth kind of still here. Other things to do while we're in the shack. Yeah, I usually have the computer on. Sometimes I have music on. I have a catalog of music either on the computer or on YouTube. So I might play that low in the background, or looking up stuff people say on Wikipedia or things like that. Jim, I have a question for you. What kind of wine are you drinking? Or style of wine, I should say.
If you want to answer now, I buy local wine made from Nisley Winery, not too far away here. And I don't like probably the good stuff, the dry stuff. I like the red sweet stuff, or at least sweet. AF3Z.
Supporting the local winery, that's awesome. That is really awesome. Yeah, I was just curious. So sweets, not dries. Got it. No more lows for you. But yeah, I was curious when you mentioned that before. I knew you tinkered on the guitar a little bit and had a glass here and there, but I was curious. And yeah, that's about it for me. A great net and great roundtable, great host, great group of fellows. And yeah, I'm gonna say 7-3 and getting tired. And I've been trying to go to bed early, and it's working out. So I'll say 7-3 all. Have a good one. God bless. And we'll pass it over to KC3YSM, W3MFB.
Thanks, Mike. W3MFB, KC3YSM. Well, when I'm on the radio, I usually do have the computer up, and I think, Mike, you indicated you like to kind of surf around. I'll do the same thing. Questions that might come up. I'm always interested in learning something, so I'll Google that up and see what comes up. But back to the chairs. Never heard of Herman Miller, and so I'm looking at Herman Miller online right now, and woo, daddy. Yep, you can spend a lot of money on a Herman Miller chair. I'm looking at this Herman Miller embody chair for $2,200. Another Herman Miller used embody chair for $900, and that'd be a little bit out of my price range for what I want to spend for a chair, although maybe my back would love it. But that's about it from here in Downingtown, KC3YSM. Again, good luck to everybody on field day, and wishing everybody a happy Father's Day this Sunday. This is KC3YSM clear, and Joe, I'm going to turn it over to you, W3GMS. Here you go.
Okay, as I climb the stairs out of the GMS laboratory on All-Star, stand by, we'll go into Studio B here and operate from the comfortable chair. Stand by. Okay, there you go. All-Star sounds good, but I'm sure this sounds better. Very interesting. Well, you guys want a good chair. Luke, KC3SCY, has begun building his chair. His first project was building a stool, a three-legged stool. Two-legged stools don't stand up very well. And now he's embarked on building a chair. So we saw some of the mistakes he made with the three-legged stool, and he's corrected those errors, and he makes it all with hand tools, no power tools. And he got for his birthday a draw knife, I think you call it. It's about 6-inch wide blade with handles at each side. So he's working on his chair. The other thing he's working on is he loves to shoot with a bow and arrow. So he went to Homeless Depot, as Ron would say, and he picked up some wood. I forget what kind of wood he picked up. And he tried his first attempt at making a bow, and it all went well, but he made it a little too thin. So I guess when he strung it, it cracked. So design iteration number 2 coming up on his bow that he's making. He was over here this week pretty much all day Tuesday and all day Wednesday, and kind of mentoring him into woodworking with building his massive riser for the desk table that I built for him when he was 8 years old. So this riser for his radio gear is 8 foot wide and 4 foot tall. And it looks like he's going to have it completely full when we're done. So we're just putting it together now. Then we'll tear it all apart, and preliminary sanding has been done, and putting the wood sealer on, and stain, and he'll probably want to use shellac because he likes to use shellac. Whatever he wants to use, it's his thing. And he has to pick out a shade of stain, which he wants a little bit different than I made his desk. So we had a good 2 days fussing with that, and we did no electronic projects, really. It was his birthday, so Martha and I had some birthday gifts for him, and he seemed well pleased with those. Again, Saturday at 9 o'clock at the field day site for coax termination with PL259s. I'll be there about 10, but Chuck, I know, and others will be there at 9. Again, Ron, thank you very much for the loan of a couple of the pieces of test equipment that we need. And as I said in my email, I'll return those to you on Sunday. So that's that. What else is new? Oh, tower. The tower now, all the sections slide into my 64-foot crank-up, tilt-over aluminum tower. And it's like a drawer slide. You just push it, and it goes zing. And you pull it, and it goes zing out. The cable has been run for the tilt-over portion. We have a little bit of work to do on the tower itself with some Loctite on some of the bolts. And then we have to mount the rotor, the mast, and string the tower itself, which I don't think is going to take all that long. So we're coming down the home stretch. And coincident with that project will be the elimination of Intermod on 985, because the second transmitter site will be here. You'll simply change your PL from 100 to 94.8, and voila, no more Intermod. So that'll be great. I think that's it. But kudos go to Bill OK and Chuck for great help in getting this tower ready to get vertical. So let's see. I'm going to say 7-3. Jim, thank you very much for steering the ship tonight. I think you've steered it really well. Some nights we have more check-ins than others, but geez, it's been gone an hour and where's my hour and 37 minutes or something like that. So interesting subject, very interesting questions. And Martha corrected me. I got a N3QBE correction. She said I did not get my chair from Unisys. I got my chair that's so comfortable from my good friend Doug, who shared the site with me with his 442 repeater up in Parksburg. Doug, KJ6AL, who's now K6JV, living out in sunny California, Oxnard, California. So that's where I got it. When Doug moved, things were flying out the front door faster than I could catch them. And this is really, really a nice chair. So a little bit of memories from when Doug was in the area. We had a lot of fun together. Stories I could tell about time spent up at the repeater site, I could write a book on. Maybe I should. Anyway, take care. Everybody have a good evening, and don't forget field day Zoom call tomorrow at 1900 hours, 7 o'clock civilian time, 1900 military time, and we'll limit to 30 minutes, so 7 to 7:30, and then up at the field day site on Saturday morning for the instruction of putting connectors on coax, because a lot of folks haven't done it. And Chris, I'll be another time. I don't have time this evening, but we'll hook up, and you can tell me the coincidences between you and me, or maybe your business and myself, or something. But it probably has to do with some people that we both know. So 7-3 all, take care. KC3 OOK, W3GMS.
W3GMS, KC3OOK. Thanks, Joe. And yes, Jim, I had good questions tonight, and I do know how hard they are to come up with. And a few things. Well, Joe, if you're still listening, I know Luke likes the shellac finish, and that always makes a nice base coat. At some point, he's going to have to start doing the varnish finish, a lot more durable and really, really beautiful finish, and it's all brush on. So that's enough of that, and I will be there on Saturday for the coax party, and looking forward to a refresher on that. And Steve, I feel sorry for you on your back. I can't say that I know how it feels. I can't imagine, actually. I had a pinched nerve last week, which I've done a number of times in my life, and I was hunched over for about a week. I'm just starting to walk upright again. Joe and Chuck saw me that way last week, but nothing like what you're dealing with the herniated disc. So I hope you get some relief and comfort soon. And Jim, as far as operating, I have been really disciplined in trying to work in the Sam Shack and do some other projects here. And I do like working 2-meter DX in the June and July. There's some real nice band openings. We've had some good ones, and I've just ignored it. Haven't even turned it on. But this morning, I couldn't resist. We had a really good one, and I was just working the Kenwood at 25 watts to the antenna, and I made 10 contacts. A couple of them were in southern Virginia. So starting to open up, and people probably heard that on 985. The Calvert, Maryland was in here full scale this morning. So that's about it for me. And Jim, it's after 9:30, you may hear Chuck come in here on the tail end. So I'll turn it over to Sean. KC3ZOI, KC3OOK.
KC3ZLI. Yeah, I've been here monitoring. I've been just kind of monitoring down here in my shack here, but I don't know if I missed any of the. I was listening to the comments, but I heard some field day talk. I'm gonna pop up on field day probably on Saturday. So if that's okay. I know I was supposed to not be there, but now I'm going to be there. We were supposed to go up to the mountains, and that fell through. So I'll be there, and I'd love to see everybody and hang out with everybody and whatnot. So just passing that along because I didn't initially. We were supposed to go up to the Poconos, but that fell through. So. But I will be around on field day, and I would love to see everybody. And just again, I'm fairly new to the radio and whatnot, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That's all I got to say. So I will pass it back. KC3ZLI.
Very good, Sean. And yeah, you're definitely welcome. And people, I forget the timing, but people will be up there early, 9 or 10 or something. The actual operating for field day doesn't start till 2 p.m. So you can judge your time. And if you want more information, there's plenty of people here who could give you more. But that's great. Sorry your other thing fell through, but it'd be great to see you up there. And speaking of field day in the Zoom meeting, I don't know who all's listening, but I won't be on tomorrow night for the Zoom. Speaking of Father's Day, due to other family schedules, we're getting together tomorrow night. So that's what's up with Father's Day here. So I will be unavailable for the Zoom meeting tomorrow night. And Chris, if you're still listening, one of the good things about ham radio, you're talking about like getaway and especially once you get on HF, pretty much any time of day or night you can get on the radio, and if you have some flexibility, you can find some people and make some contacts as long as the bands are in decent shape, moderately decent shape. So it's one of the neat things, and in my career, my time was always variable, and the meaning you wouldn't know when I could get on. But I could get on. Sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night and get on to see what was going on and then go back to bed. So that's one of the neat things about it. And one thing about CW, your mother always told you, don't talk with a mouth full. but you can do that on CW. So, get on CW, you can eat and drink as long as you're ambidextrous or something. You can do it all at the same time. So there you go. Is there anyone else out there? We're getting ready to wrap it up here, but anybody who would like to jump in here, say hello, and get you on the log here for tonight for the 985 Roundtable. So any other stations wishing to check in, please call now.
KC3YTD.
All right, very good. KC3YTD. Now, I've told you I always have trouble. I immediately think of year to date. Is it Steve? I may be wrong. But good evening, anyway. I'm quickly looking at past notes, trying to see if it'll help me, but it's not. The question tonight was basically on your operating style. And three things. What kind of chair you have in your shack? Do you tend to have a drink or munchies or food in the shack when you're operating at times? And finally, what's your style? Do you do a lot of listening and not as much talking? Or, some mix in there? So if you want to comment on any of that, you're welcome to. But anyway, over to you. And yeah, please remind me of your name. My guess is Steve, but I'm not sure I'm right. KC3YTD AF3Z.
This is Steve. I'm located right near the field day site. And the chair I use, it's actually it was actually in one of the Star Trek episodes. If you see The Trouble with Tribbles, it was in that. It's not the actual one in the episode, but same kind of chair. That's the one I use. And I do mostly listening and just some DXing whenever I get a chance. Over.
Very good. And I'm not that familiar with those episodes to know what chair you're talking about, but that's kind of cool. So very good. I'm glad I had your name right. That might mean it's starting to stick in my head. So thanks for checking in here with us tonight. Anyone else out there who would like to check into the 985 Roundtable as we wrap it up here? This is AF3Z.
Late Chuck, NA3CW.
Hey, Chuck. Good to hear you. I didn't realize. I'll tell a quick story. Chuck was scheduled to do the workbench on Monday night. And probably a month ago, I don't know, you might remember how long ago, Chuck let me know he's not going to be available then. And I said, okay. And I wrote it in on my personal calendar, date book, and everything. It was all arranged in the emails. We had it all set up that he and I would switch. And when it came time, when I send out the reminders to hosts about who's up for this week, I sent him the reminder, and he pointed out, no, he's not going to be around. Then I found out that it was in my date book already, and it was in the email train, or what am I looking for anyway? Email, I found it in there, but I never actually changed it on the repeater website. So I was going by the website, and I got it wrong. So anyway, that's how I ended up with 2 this week. So, Chuck, did you hear the question? I'll give it to you quickly anyway. What kind of chair do you have in your shack that you sit on when you're operating? Do you tend to have drink or food in the shack with you? Something to munch on or whatever. And finally, your style. Does it include more listening, more operating and talking? Or what's the mix for you on listening versus actually getting on the air? NA3CW AF3Z.
Yeah, AF3Z and A3CW. Well, the chair. It is a cheap Costco secretary's chair. I don't know if you can find any cheap secretaries, but it's a cheap secretary chair. And it's not terribly comfortable for long sessions, I can tell you that. I have a cushion on it to help. Let's see. I usually have iced tea if I'm going to be operating, I have iced tea there to wet my voice when needed. Usually don't snack on the air because I don't want crumbs all over the place. And I'm primarily a listener, but especially on HF, if I will scan around the bands and see what's happening, but I rarely get on to just operate, like contact people. Once I've heard what like, oh, it's open to so and so, or there's some Italians or whatever, I usually just let it go. My transmit operations are generally the PM/AM net, but I've been with various responsibilities and projects and this and that. I'm usually pretty busy during the day. What with towers and sisters and tuners and the lawnmower and coax cables and everything else, it just kind of fills my hours up. So, however, if I'm in the shack, and I'm not doing concentrated work, I will have the receiver on, the 2-meter rig on, and if somebody pops in and nobody pops back, I jump in. So I did a couple of those today, I think. At least one. I think maybe two. Yeah, I did two. I did CR and I did Chris. So that's my world at the moment. And now that I'm done with VBS, I gotta put my field day hat back on and get things ready for our session on Saturday. We intend to have a session on care and feeding with coax cable, how to put the two different types of connectors on, what kind of tools you need, what it looks like, and then how to do input and output measurements for efficiency to determine loss, and also put a impedance analyzer on it and show what happens when you open circuit, close circuit, or whatever. For instance, you could have a horrible piece of coax that has a very low SWR because it's so lossy, there's no reflected wave. It's just burned up in heat. So, things like SWR is quite often irrelevant when it comes to testing a piece of coax. But that's another discussion. So we'll talk about that stuff on Saturday. Back to net in A3CW.
Very good, Chuck. And I was going to ask you if this was your last night there with VBS, so you answered that question. Hope it all went well for you. And I'm not sure. I don't think I can get there on Saturday, and it's a trek to get there, but I might show up. You never can tell. So thank you very much, and welcome aboard here. One more time, anybody else out there who would like to check into the 985 Roundtable tonight, please call now. I am Jim, AF3Z, Alpha Fox 3 Zulu. All right. It's funny, we moved the roundtable earlier, half an hour earlier, a while back from 8:30 to 8. And in the good old days, we tried to be done by 10. Well, we're going to be done at 10, but that was when we started half an hour later. But it's been a good session. Thank you all very much. And fun hearing all the stories, and I learned about Herman Miller, who I never knew about before, and all kinds of stuff. So thank you very much. I want to say a big thank you to Joe for allowing us to use the repeater for the roundtable. The repeater is quite a gift to all of us here in the amateur radio community. And if you want to say thank you, that's a good thing, but also it's great to say thank you by way of using the repeater, keeping it active, and that's one of the best ways to show the thanks. So, appreciate you checking in tonight. Hope to hear you again on Monday evening at 8 p.m. during the workbench. And maybe catch up, if I get there, with some of you on Saturday morning. And as I said, I can't make the field day Zoom. So, that's it for the workbench, roundtable tonight. And you can stay now and keep talking if you wish. Have a great weekend, and look forward to our next time to chat. This is AF3Z for the 985 Roundtable. Good night.
Jim, I forgot to say thank you. Excellent job. Thanks for taking the chair. W3, now clear.
Hey, Greg, you shouldn't have reminded me because I didn't realize you didn't. Thank you very much, Greg. Have a good one there, AF3Z.
3Z, W3GMS, for a quick opinion.
A quick opinion. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. My recommendation is, unless you have absolutely zero to do on Saturday and you're bored beyond belief, that you sit Saturday out. It's going to be just putting some connectors on coax lines. It's mainly going to be a tutorial session, although we do have some coax lines to terminate. But as always, be wonderful to see you. But considering the distance away you are, if I was in your position, I would turn over and get another wink of sleep. Go ahead.
Hey, Joe, very good. I've been leaning that direction. I forget I'm not looking at my calendar at the moment, but I appreciate that. And it's funny, my CW sched has gone from mornings to like 1 p.m. working with our schedules here. And that's been nice because I can get some extra winks in the mornings. I used to have to get up earlier to get on CW, which is not a bad thing, but it's nice to not have that pressure in the morning. So there you go. Very good, Joe. Thanks for that word. And yeah, I won't be around tomorrow night. It's going to be a Father's Day bash with our family, so I will be unavailable. So very good. Thank you. Have a good night there. Thanks for jumping in so much on the workbench Monday night, and also your presence here. W3GMS, AF3Z.
Okay, very good. Well, you're welcome to any of the events that we have, and I just wanted to paint the picture that it's certainly nothing that's you feel you should do or need to do or anything like that. It's pretty well covered. But if you just like to come down and hang out a little bit, well, it's always good to see you. So I just wanted to portray it in a way that you can make the best decision for yourself, considering the distance that you are from the site. So anyway, hey, if you ever want to cut down expenses, we can pass the hat around and we can buy you a single wide trailer, and we can put it up at the field day site. And I can pay John Lyons whatever he wants on a monthly basis. And we can just have you as a permanent fixture at field day. That may work. You wouldn't have to worry about cutting any grass, and you got all the antennas to use, a couple tri-banders. Go ahead.
I heard you in there, Martha. Yeah, very good. Partially laughing because I've thought at times, and today was one of those times, I really don't need all this house and all this stuff and all the yard I'm trying to take care of. So that would eliminate a lot of those problems. And I could be sort of like the field day site, what's the word I'm looking for, ranger or, camp ranger, forest ranger, or something like that. I used to tell my son years ago that, he works in the golf industry. And when I retired, I was just going to come and live in a closet at the golf club and, and play golf all the time. That never seemed to pan out. That's a good idea, Joe. I'll keep that in mind. That could be a lot of fun. 73 and good night. AF3Z.
Yeah, something to think about. W3GMS, you can be a permanent resident. You know how junkyards, for security, they have a bunch of dogs? I don't want to call you a dog, but you could be the security. you could be the security guard at the field day site.
There you go. I don't know if you know the old song. I think it was Harry Chapin that did it. I don't know it all. I won't sing it because that's illegal. But old John Joseph was a man with two first names. They left him in the rail yard when they took away the trains. So I could be like old John Joseph. And I'm still working on thinking of a good logo for the Ursulden Earwigs when they get that team established. AF3Z.
Very good. Well, let me know what you come up with. And all that. Harry Chapin, yeah, I know his music well, and I like his music. I think his music is great, and I recognized as you were saying the words of it. So, okay, I got to run. Take care. Good jostling with you here. W3GMS now clearing QRT.
To you and Martha, and thanks again. AF3Z.
Hey, hi. Go ahead.
Hi, Jim.
Did you hear that?
Martha, yeah, I heard her laugh earlier, too. AF3Z.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like Israel just bombed Tehran. So, yeah, here we go again. Another war starting. W3GMS clear.